Hello, Adam Maths Tutor here with a walkthrough of the GCSE Edexcel November 2020 Foundation Paper 1. These were the papers that were originally meant to be used in the summer of June 2020 but were cancelled due to COVID and then reused in the following November. Let's get started. Question 1. Write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. Start by writing these numbers on top of each other, lining up all of the correct place value, so 0.32, 0.4, 0.35 and 0.309. Fill all of the gaps with placeholders, and starting from the left hand side we just want to focus on each column and identify the smallest number. First column won't help as all of them are zeros. The next column slightly helpful, but there's still 3 of these that have the same number 3. Moving on to the next column, out of those 3, we can see that this number has a 0, which means that this one would be the smallest. So 0.309. Out of the other 2 numbers, we can see that this one here has a 2, which is the next smallest. So 0.32. And 0.35 would be the next, which means that the biggest would be 0.4. Question 2. Here is a list of numbers. From the list, write down a multiple of 3. If a number is a multiple of 3, it means it's in the 3 times table, so therefore it should divide by 3. And the only number that's here that will divide by 3 is 18. 18 divided by 3 goes in 6 times, so therefore 18 is the multiple of 3. Question 3. Write 4.666 as a whole number. So when rounding to the nearest whole number, we need to put our line after the units column, and then we look at the next number and decide whether this is 5 or more, and because it is, we'll need to round this number up, so the answer would be 5. Question 4. Write 3/4 as a decimal. This is one that you should probably memorize or know going into your exam, but if you do forget, we can convert it to a fraction out of 100, and this will make it easier to identify what it is as a decimal. So to get from 4 to 100, we need to times by 25. So do the same to the numerator, and that gives us 75. And when it's a decimal out of 100, the numerator just becomes the decimal part, so 0.75. Question 5. Write down the value of the 7 in the number 8,765. So putting down my place value, this is my units, my tens, my hundreds and my thousands, and therefore the 7 is in the hundreds column, so this would be 7 hundreds. Question 6. Geeta spins a fair 8-sided spinner. Part A. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that the spinner will land on C. Well, if we look at the parts that represent C, we can see that that is half of the spinner. So therefore we would need to put a cross on exactly half way through the probability scale. Part B, on the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that the spinner will land on D. And when looking at the spinner, it goes from A to B to C, and there is no D, so therefore it's impossible, and the probability would be 0. Question 7. The incomplete pictogram shows information about the number of eggs sold from a farm shop on Monday. On Monday, the shop sold 18 eggs, on Tuesday 24, and on Wednesday 27. So on Monday there were 18 eggs that were sold, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarters. So divide by 6, and that means that 3 eggs represent 1 quarter. Now that I know that, I can work out how many quarters are required for Tuesday and Wednesday. So 24 divided by 3 is equal to 8 quarters, and 27 divided by 3 is equal to 9 quarters. So 8 quarters would be made up of 2 full circles split into quarters, and 9 quarters would be made up of 2 full circles, which would be 8, and we need 1 additional quarter which we can represent using a quarter of that circle. Don't forget a key. So a full circle split into quarters will represent 12 eggs. Question 8, write down the coordinates of A. So we need to go along the x-axis to 2 and it's going up to 3. So the coordinate would be 2, 3. Write down the coordinates of B. We haven't moved anywhere along the x-axis, so that would be 0, and it's gone down by 1, so it would be -1. Part C, on the grid, mark with a cross the point -2, 1. So -2 would be 2 to the left, and 1 would be up 1. So this point would represent C. Question 9. A bag contains red counters and blue counters only. The number of red counters to the number of blue counters is 3 to 4. Write down the fraction of the counters that are red. So in total, 3 plus 4 means that we have 7 parts, and the fraction that are red, well, there were 3 red parts out of a total of 7 parts, so 3 over 7. Write the ratio 12 to 30 in the form 1 to n. Because both of these numbers are even, I'm just going to start by simplifying as much as possible, and I'm going to start by dividing by 2. So that would be 6 to 15. Both of these numbers are divisible by 3, which would be 2 to 5. And to get from 2 to 5 to 1 to something else, I'll need to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, which is what we were looking for, and 5 divided by 2 can be left as a fraction, or you can leave your answer as a decimal, 1 to 2.5. Question 10. Jenny has 12 marbles. A quarter of these marbles are large, so straight away I can work out how many large marbles there are, because I know that 1/4 of 12 is the same as 12 divided by 4, which is 3. The rest of these 12 marbles are small, so now I can work out the small ones, because I know that there's 12 in total and there's 3 large, so take that away and that leaves me with 9 small. Each large marble has a weight of 70 grams and each small marble has a weight of 50 grams. Work out the total weight. So I can times the number of large ones by 70 grams and times the number of small ones by 50 grams. 3 times 7 is 21 and put a 0 at the end. 9 times 5 is 45 with a 0 at the end, and the total I'll need to add these together, so 0, 6, 6, and the answer would be 660 grams. Question 11. Reflect the shaded shape in the mirror line. The easiest way to do this is to just do each point separately. So starting with this point, I can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat this with the remainder of the points. So this one is 1, 2, so 1, 2. This one is just 1 along from that, so that's fairly easy to do without counting. This one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the last thing to do is to connect all of these points with straight edges. Question 12. The diagram shows a number machine. Find the output when the input is 7. So when I put 7 into this machine, working forwards, I need to times by 2 and then take away 3, and that gives me the output. So 7 times by 2 is 14, take away 3 is 11. Part B, find the input when the output is 41. So this time I need to work backwards, so it involves doing the inverse. So I'd need to add 3 and then I'd need to divide by 2. So 41 plus 3 is 44, divided by 2 is 22. Question 13. The diagram shows 2 points A and B on a map. Find the bearing of B from A. Start by connecting A and B with a straight line. We're finding the bearing of B and we're going from A. So from A, bearings are always measured from the north line and we need to go clockwise until we hit the direction towards B. So measuring this angle between here, we should get 25 degrees. Part B, work out the real distance between A and B. Give your answer in kilometres. You'll notice that you were given a scale. The scale tells us how to get from the diagram to real life. So we would need to go from 1 to 25,000, which is the same as timesing by 25,000. Start by measuring the distance from A to B using a ruler, 5 centimetres. Multiply this by 25,000 to work out how many centimetres it would be in real life. 125,000 centimetres. There are 100 centimetres in a metre, so start by dividing by 100. 1,250 metres. And there are 1,000 metres in a kilometre, so dividing by 1,000 would be 1.25 kilometres. Question 14. Ishmael asked 30 students at college to tell him the sport they each liked the best from cricket or tennis or swimming. 11 of the 20 female students said swimming, so out of these 20, 11 of them said swimming. 2 of the male students said tennis, so male and tennis should be 2. 5 students said cricket, so in total it should be 5. Fill in the other parts of the table which we can. So 30 take away 20 would be 10. We're not able to fill in any other parts of the table at the moment. Moving on to the next part, the number of male students who said cricket was the same as the number of male students who said swimming. That means that these 2 boxes here have the same number in them. To work out what they are in total, I can do 10 take away 2, which tells me both of them are 8. And if I know that both of them are 8, it must mean that each of them are 4 because they're both the same. Then I should be able to fill in the rest of the table. So 4 plus 1 gives me 5. 1 and 11 gives me 12. So I'd need to add on 8 to get to 20. 2 plus 8 is 10. And 4 plus 11 is 15. Question 15. Jamil makes a drink by mixing 1 part of orange squash with 9 parts of water. He uses 750 millilitres of orange squash. Jamil is going to put the drink he mixed into 1 litre bottles. Work out the greatest number of 1 litre bottles that Jamil can completely fill. So if he's mixing 1 part of orange squash with 9 parts of water, this would be 10 parts in total. And he uses 750 millilitres of orange squash. And we know that 1 part of orange squash was used. So therefore 1 part must be equal to 750 millilitres. If I know that 1 part is 750 millilitres, then 10 parts would be the same as timesing by 750, which means I would have 7,500 millilitres in total. Lastly, he's putting the drink into 1 litre bottles, and 1 litre is the same as 1,000 millilitres. So if I divide this by 1,000, I get 7.5 bottles. Therefore, he can fill 7 completely. Question 16. Tina worked out the median of the number of points scored to be 5. Explain why it is not possible for the median to be 5. Well, the students scored 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 points. 5 doesn't even exist, which means it can't be the median. So the number of points scored only goes up to 4. Tina also worked out the total number of points scored by the 16 students in the game. Here is her working. Tina made a mistake in her working to find the total number of points scored. Describe the mistake that Tina made. The easiest way to spot a mistake is to do the actual calculation and then you can compare. So to find the total number, we would need to multiply this one person that got 0 points, would be 0. There were 3 people that got 1 point, so this would be 3 in total. 5 people got 2 points, so that would be 10. 4 got 3, which would be 12. 3 people got 4 points, which would be 12 again. Then we would need to add all of these together to get the total. So comparing that with her calculation, she did 0 times 1, and she wrote down that that was 1. Now we already know that that should be 0, so therefore 0 times 1 should be 0 and not 1. Question 17. In a shop, a TV has a normal price of £500. The shop has a sale. On Monday, the normal price of the TV is reduced by 1/10 to give the sale price. So 1/10 of 500 divide by 10, and that would be 50. And this was taken away from the cost. So 500 take away 50 is equal to £450. On Tuesday, the sale price of the TV is reduced by 20%. 10% of 450 is 45. Once I've got 10%, I can work out 20%, which would be 90. And 450 take away 90, 0. Still 1 from here, so that becomes 15 take away 9 is 6, and 3 take away 0 is 3. Chris wants to buy the TV. He has £400 to spend. Does he have enough money to buy the TV on Tuesday? Yes, he does, because the £400 that he has is greater than the cost of the TV on Tuesday, which is £360. Question 18. Work out an estimate for 790 times 289 over 49. Whenever you see the word estimate, the expectation is that you should be rounding all of your numbers to one significant figure. So that means putting your rounding line after the first important digit here, here, and here. So rounding all of these numbers, this would be 800 times by 300 over 50. 8 times 3 is 24, followed by 4 zeros, divided by 50. Make the calculation easier to do by knocking off 1 0 from the top and bottom, and finish off by doing 24,000 divided by 5. So 5's go into 2, 0, remainder 2. 5's into 24 goes 4 times, remainder 4. 5's into 40 goes 8, and then 0, 0. So the answer should be 4,800. Question 19. Expand x bracket x take away 4. So expanding means multiplying the terms outside the bracket by the ones that are inside. X times x is x squared, and x times -4 is -4x. Factorise 15y, take away 10. Factorising means putting the bracket back in, and I need to take my highest common factors from both of the terms outside the bracket. The highest common factor of 15y and 10 would be 5. And then working forwards, I would need to multiply 5 by 3y to get 15y. And I'd need to times 5 by 2 to get to 10. So the final answer is 5 bracket 3y take away 2. Solve 7 bracket f minus 5 equals 28. Start by expanding the bracket. 7f take away 35 equals 28. So do the inverse by adding 35. 7f would be equal to 63. Divide by 7. F would be equal to 9. Question 20. The first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence are 1, 4, 7, 10, 13. Write down an expression in terms of n for the nth term. To identify the times table, you look at the difference between the terms. I can see that I'm adding on 3 each time here. This means that I'm doing 3 lots of n, and it's not the 3 times table. To work out what number you're adding on or taking away from the 3 times table, you just need to do the inverse and take away 3 from the first term, which gives me -2, and this tells me the number that I'm adding or taking away from the end. Question 21. Show that 2 1/3 times 3 3/4 is equal to 8 3/4. Forget about the answer for now. The best way to show is to actually do the calculation and see whether you get the same answer. Start by converting these mixed numbers into improper fractions. 2 times 3 plus the 1 is 7 over 3. 3 times 4 plus the 3 is 15 over 4. Multiply these together by multiplying the numerators and the denominators. 7 times 15 is 105, and 3 times 4 is 12. Convert this back into a mixed number by looking at how many 12s go into 105. 12s into 105 goes 8 times with a remainder of 9, and we're almost there. We just need to simplify this further by dividing 9/12 top and bottom by 3, and that would give me 8 3/4 as required. Question 22. Each of the equations in the table is the equation of one of the graphs. Complete the table. The one that they're hoping you should be able to recognise here is this one, which is y equals x squared. So this one here is d. Now there's two of these equations which look really similar. You'll see we've got y equals x cubed and we've got y equals negative x cubed. And there's two of these graphs which look very similar. It's this one here and this one here. So this would be the x cubed one, which is C, and the negative one would just flip round the other way. So that one here would be B, which means the last one is the tricky one, 1 over x, which is A. Question 23. The diagram shows 4 triangles. 2 of these triangles are congruent. Write down the letters of these 2 triangles. Congruent means that they're exactly the same. You may have to find some missing information from the triangles. So if this angle is 55 and this is 45, that means that this angle here must be 80 because they add to make 180. Likewise, if this one here down here is 80 and this one's 45, it means that this one here must be 55. You can't actually find the angles on the other 2 triangles, and because these 2 aren't the same, we can exclude those and look at the 2 that we've got here, which makes sense. We've got 10 centimeters with the 55 degrees on the left and the 45 degrees on the right, and that's the same as this one here. We've got the 10 centimeters with the 55 degrees on the left and the 45 degrees on the right. So the congruent triangles would be A and D. Question 24. Sean pays £10 for 24 chocolate bars. He sells all 24 chocolate bars for 50p each. Work out Sean's profit. Well, 50p is the same as 0.5. If he sold the 24 chocolate bars for 50 pence or 0.5, half of 24 is £12. We're working out the percentage profit, which involves working out the profit. If he sold them for £12 and bought them for £10, that means that he made a profit of £2. And percentage profit or loss is worked out by doing the increase or the decrease over the original multiplied by 100. So the increase was 2, the original was 10, and multiply this by 100 would be 20%. Question 25. ADC is a triangle. Work out the size of angle EAB, which is this angle in between. You must give reasons for each stage of your working. Whenever you're asked to give reasons, always split the space that you have underneath into a table like this. On the left hand side, write down your working, and on the right side, reasons. This encourages you to put down a reason for every single bit of working that you have, which you'll need to do to get all of the marks. There's lots of different ways of doing this, and all of them would be correct if you've stuck to the right method with the right reason. But by far the quickest way is to work out what angle BCD is, and we can do that by using the relationship between these 2 angles here, which are co-interior. So angle BCD is equal to 180 take away 148, which would be 32. And the reason is co-interior angles add up to 180. Put a line underneath and move on to the next stage. Now we can focus on the whole triangle. Because I know that this angle is 32 and I know that this angle is 63, I can use what I know about angles in triangles to work out this at the top. So angle EAB is equal to 180 take away 63 take away 32, which would be 85. And the reason is angles in a triangle add up to 180. Question 26. The table shows information about the heights in centimetres of a group of Year 9 girls. The stem and leaf diagram shows information about the heights in centimetres of a group of 15 Year 9 boys. Compare the distribution of the heights of the girls with the distribution of the heights of the boys. So when asked to compare distributions, there's two things that you need to compare. The first thing is a type of average. In this case, it will be the median. And the second thing you need to compare is a type of spread, which in this case would be the range. I've already got the median for the group of girls, but I need to find the range, and I can do that by taking the smallest value away from the greatest. So 170 take away 150 would leave me with 20 centimetres for my range. For the stem and leaf, 158 is the lowest value and 182 is the highest value. So 182 take away 158 is 24 for my range. And I can find the median by crossing off the smallest and the largest, the next smallest and the next largest, and to continue until I get to my middle value, which would be the median, 168. Now I can write down some comparing statements. The average height of the Year 9 boys is greater than the Year 9 girls, and that's because 168 is greater than 165. The Year 9 boys' heights are more spread out or less consistent than the Year 9 girls, and that's because 24 is greater than 20. Question 27. The diagram shows a prism placed on a horizontal floor. The prism has a height of 3 meters. The volume of the prism is 18 meters cubed. The pressure on the floor due to the prism is 75 newtons per meter squared. Work out the force exerted by the prism on the floor. So the volume of a shape is worked out by doing the cross-sectional area multiplied by the height. The cross-sectional area of a prism is the shape that appears throughout the whole of the prism, which is the hexagon that we have here. Let's substitute the values we know. We know that the volume is 18. The cross-sectional area is what I'm working out. And I know that the height is 3. 18 divided by 3 will give me the area. So 6 is equal to the area. I was given the formula for working out the pressure. Pressure is equal to force over area. So if I want to work out the force that was exerted by the prism, I need to do the pressure multiplied by the area. I was told that the pressure was 75 newtons per meter squared, and the area I've just worked out is 6. So multiply these together, and that gives me 450 newtons. Question 28. Write these numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. Convert these into ordinary numbers. So 6.72, and I'm timesing by 10 to the power of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fill the gaps with zeros. 67.2, and I'm timesing by 10 to the power of negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Fill the gaps with zeros. 672 times 10 to the power of 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last number is already written as an ordinary number. Now I should be able to write these in order of size. So I can see that this one here is the smallest. So 0.000672. This one's the next smallest. Don't forget to write down the original. 67.2 times 10 to the power of negative 4. This one's the next smallest, and that was 6.72 times 10 to the power of 5. And the last one is this one here, which was 672 times 10 to the power of 4. Question 29. Given that A over B is 2 over 5 and B over C is 3 over 4, find the ratio A to B to C. Looking at these fractions, we can see that B represents a value of 5 and B over here represents a value of 3. If we can make these values the same, we should be able to compare the other values, A and C. To make them the same, we'll need to find the lowest common multiple of both of these numbers. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. To change this one to 15, I'll need to multiply the whole fraction by 3. And to change this one to 15, I'll need to multiply the whole fraction by 5. That means that a over b is also equal to 6 over 15, and b over c is equal to 15 over 20. Now we can write the ratio a to b to c. A represents a value of 6, b represents a value of 15, and c represents a value of 20. Question 30. Make q the subject of p equals 6q plus 7. Write down a story of what's happened to q so far. So we can see the first thing we did was we multiplied by 6. So q times 6. And then the next thing I did was I added 7. And that gave me the other side of the equals sign, which was p. To find the subject, I just need to do the inverse. So take away 7 and divide by 6. So p, take away 7, divide by 6 would equal q. M to the power of negative 2 to the power of negative 3. Using the power of a power rule, I can multiply these together, which would be m to the power of 6. Thanks for watching. If you found that video useful, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. If you're struggling with maths or finding topics difficult, you can subscribe and turn on notifications to receive regular updates about new video tutorials. Don't forget to visit my website adamonlinetutoring.com for a full searchable list of all topics with exams, questions and solutions. You can also visit me on social media using the handle @AdamMathsTutor on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and Twitter. All links in the description below.